Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear podcast. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and this is another innovator interview. And today we're joined by Vikram Aggarwal, who is the founder and CEO of EnergySage, which is a home solar consultancy, essentially. They give you free advice about how to find the best deal for solar. Vikram, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate this opportunity.
That's great. Now tell us about EnergySage. What do you do and how do you do it?
Yeah. So Mitch, think about EnergySage as the Expedia or Kayak for solar energy systems.
Great.
What that means is we are an online marketplace for solar energy systems. So let's say if you were interested in installing a solar energy system on your home or on your business, you shop through us. Just like you would on an Expedia or a Kayak. So the way the process works is, say if you were interested in installing solar, you sign up on EnergySage, you create an account. It literally takes you 2 minutes. We ask you about where your property is, your address. You identify your property on a Google map. And then we ask you about how much money you're spending on electricity. What are your average monthly bills? And then we ask you if you have any kind of preference as it relates to solar. Are you looking for certain kind of solar panels or inverters or battery storage systems? And or if you are looking for a certain kind of financing. You can say, I have some preferences, or you can say, I don't know enough, bring me my options. Bring me all my options.
Right. And I've been through the process, and it's extremely simple and fluid. I got through it, like you said, in a few minutes of configuration, and the feedback that I've received about my home, which unfortunately is covered by trees, and so I'll have to cut them down to go solar. It was easy to understand. I got a set of pricing that I could look at and consider. And also your preferences were really important to me, because one of our criteria is that we want a shingle rather than a panel. And, we know that that's a little further out in terms of our financial capabilities and where the market is today. So it has been very, very pleasant to go through. And in fact, Earth911 will be promoting EnergySage as a source of this information across the site, because we think you're doing such a great job.
Thank you.
How did you get started with business? What got you into solar?
Yeah, a couple of things. Growing up, I was always passionate about starting my own business. Family has been a family of entrepreneurs. So that was one area. The second thing was I'm also an environmentalist. So I'm very concerned about where things stand in terms of climate change and how fossil fuels are very damaging to our environment. And they're not the right fuel for our future. So I've always been interested in renewable energy technologies. Had learned about those growing up. So in my last corporate job, that was in the mid-2000s, I got a chance to learn about solar again. I was in the investments space, and I was investing for my employer in the solar industry, and got a chance to learn about solar. But back then, solar was quite expensive. In 2005, solar panels were $5 a watt. And for most of your listeners, that does not mean much, but enough said that they were very, very expensive. And today, the same solar panels are below 50 cents a watt. So prices have come down dramatically. So anyway, in the mid-2000s, started learning about solar, saw that there was an increasing interest in solar energy. But most people did not really understand, most homeowners and most businesses did not really understand how solar worked, what it cost, how much financial savings it can achieve, and how should they go about evaluating their options. So I saw this as an opportunity, left my corporate job at the height of the recession, and started EnergySage.
Well, they say all the best businesses start and turn. So hopefully that will be true here. Certainly 10 years you are. Now, where would you say we are, since you described an almost Moore's Law-like decline in the price of panels? It's going down by 50 to 100% per year. and you just recently sent out a mail that I was reading about where we are today and where the world expects to be by 2040. Now, how much power roughly are we producing with solar today, and how fast do you think this is going to grow over the next few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in the United States in 2018, as a country, we will install roughly 12 gigawatts of solar power. And again, as I realize that that number may not mean that much in the broader context. Safe to say that about 30 to 40% of all new generation capacity in the United States today is coming from solar panels. So we are starting to make a dent. Of course, there is a very large amount of legacy power generation capacity, whether it's from coal or natural gas or nuclear or hydro. But more and more of the generation capacity that we are adding every year is coming from solar. And solar has now become the cheapest form of electricity, cheapest source of electricity in the United States and the world. So it is now cheaper than natural gas. It's significantly cheaper than nuclear. And it is now very, very competitive with coal, which we all know is highly damaging to the environment. Even the new coal power plants are very expensive because they need to meet with the environmental laws, which are still not sufficient to prevent the worst damage from coal power plants.
So what questions does a consumer need to begin thinking about when they look at solar today? Say it's inexpensive in the sense that the power itself is affordable and the technology is affordable. Where should they start? What's the first question they should ask, and where do they go from there?
Absolutely. I think the very, very first question that most consumers ask is, can I get solar? I think you talked about that experience that you have is, do you have the right roof, or do you have the right backyard or the right property where solar panels can be installed? And by definition, solar panel needs access to sunlight. So if wherever you were thinking of installing solar is covered by trees or is completely shaded, that may not be the right place. So number one, I think people are trying to figure out, can they install solar on their property? So that's number one. And we actually have an excellent tool. We call it a solar calculator that people can come to EnergySage.com and use our calculator, and we can very quickly tell them if their property is suitable for solar. They can, of course, eyeball it. If they look on Google Maps, satellite image, they should be able to figure out whether their roof is suitable for solar or not, or they can contact us and we can help them figure that out. The second question that most people ask is financial. Even though they are motivated by environmental reasons, people still want to know, how much will it cost me and how much will I end up saving? How quickly will I recoup my investment in solar panels? That's the second biggest questions. So the good news today is that for most homeowners around the country, as I mentioned, solar can be a very cost-effective solution. It will allow you to earn rate of returns in double digits. If you compare that to stock market returns or bond market returns, those are very compelling. And my background is in finance and investments, and that was one of the reasons why I thought I should get into solar, because I believe solar can be a really good financial investment for homeowners and businesses. So for most people, the rate of returns are going to be in the double digits, 10, 11, 12, 15% on an annualized basis. What that means is you should be able to recoup your initial investment in 5 to 10 years, which is a great situation, because after that, you have your electricity for free for decades after that. Solar panels work for 20, 30 plus years. So that's the second question, right? That once you decide that your property is suitable for solar, and the economics are fine for you. And of course, I forgot to mention that there are excellent financing options for folks, just like you use a loan.
We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Perfect. So I'll hold off on my points there.
But finish your thought about once you know your house is suitable and that you're ready to do it, the next step is picking the right options.
Exactly.
And your site does a great job of helping you with that. In my case, I had this. I have a criteria, which is I want my house to look like a house with a shingled roof. But many people are ready to go with a PV panel today. You help them select the right people to come in and install it as well.
Yes. So yeah. So of course, I think I would recommend that EnergySage is the easiest and the best way for homeowners and businesses to evaluate their solar options. So let me maybe go back to what we were discussing a few minutes ago. So let's say you as a consumer signed up on our platform. So what happens next, right? So you created an account. Now what happens on EnergySage? So what happens is you sign up, you create an account. Somebody at EnergySage will make sure that your property is suitable for solar. And if it is not, we will let you know. We will get back to you with questions and other options. But if your property is suitable for solar, we now include that in our marketplace. What that means is we have a number of installers that are serving your market. They will be notified that Mitch is now looking for a solar panel, solar energy system for his house. Please provide a quote. These installers are all highly qualified, experienced solar companies. We have pre-screened them. And typically what will happen is about a half a dozen of these companies will create a custom quote based on looking at your property, looking at your electric bill, and will recommend the right size of the system for your property that would fit on your roof. And those quotes are now coming to you through our platform. All these quotes are then standardized. They are presented to you in a apples to apples format, so you can easily and quickly compare your options. So we are essentially helping you make three decisions. Number one, equipment. What brand and model of solar panels or inverters and even batteries should you select? Number two is what kind of financing you should pick. Different companies may offer you different kinds of financing. They may offer you loans of different kinds or leases and power purchase agreements. We basically help you understand what the pros and cons of the different financing options are, how much you will end up saving using the different options. And number three is, of course, the contractor themselves. So as you know, no two contractors are alike. We help you understand what the rating and reviews of these contractors are, how many installations they have done, what kind of warranties they're providing, how far are they from your own property. We know that a lot of our customers prefer local providers, so we actually tell you how far this company is from your home or your business. So essentially what we are doing is we are giving you the right amount of information in a very transparent fashion, so you can evaluate your options in a very informed manner. And if you have questions, you can always contact us through email, chat, or phone calls, or you can contact the installers directly. The best part is we don't share, you don't need a phone call to make this decision. You get all this information. We don't ask for your phone number, and we never share your email address with any of these solar companies. So you are in control. You decide when you want to talk to anybody and how you want to engage with them.
Right. Now let's talk about the financing, because you have a wide range of options, and you mentioned a couple of them. The fact that you could get a loan, that you could lease it, and also the power selling opportunities. And that's really that's a forest of questions for the typical consumer to dive into. But let's talk about incentives, because that's an area where solar incentives are changing rapidly because of the widespread adoption. And another thing that we have is from a state to state basis, and you guys help with this as well. The incentive programs vary, and sometimes, as in the case in Washington State where I'm located, they run out of money until the next time the legislature will fund them. How do we understand as consumers the options, and particularly the tax benefits that we're going to have if we install solar?
Absolutely. I think this is a great question and a very timely question. Number one, the biggest incentive that is available to practically everybody in the country is something called the ITC, Investment Tax Credit. This is a federal investment tax credit that is equal to 30% of the price that you pay for the system. So let's say if you paid $10,000 for your solar energy system, you can now reduce the amount of taxes that you owe to the federal government by $3,000. That's a great incentive. Everybody can benefit from it. This incentive is actually getting reduced starting in 2020. So in 2019, it's the last year when you can get the full 30%, and then it will start stepping down and will go away by 2022. So we have about another 3 or so years, just about 3 years before that incentive runs out. So that's the biggest incentive. Then this next set of incentives are at the local level. So whether your utility or your state might be offering incentives, they could come in various forms. It could be a cash rebate. In case of, for example, customers in North Carolina, customers of Duke, which is one of the biggest utilities in North Carolina, they are getting offered a few $1,000s as a cash rebate. So in addition to those $3,000 that I just mentioned that you get from the government, Duke is actually giving you another $1,500 or $2,000 to offset the cost of your solar installation. And sorry, just to finish off, I think in the state of Washington, the incentive structure is a little bit different. You actually get a higher payout. Because you are generating electricity using solar, each kilowatt hour or each unit of electricity that you produce gets a higher price from the utility. But that program, as you mentioned, ran out of money this year. Hopefully it will be renewed in 2019. But the best way is, I think you can use EnergySage to learn about what are the incentives. We have a lot of information about those. Or you can contact us or sign up on our platform, and we can inform you about what kind of incentives are available in your market.
And just generally, and I know that every home in business is unique, but what would somebody be expecting to pay to put in solar to support a 2,500 to 3,000 foot square home?
Yeah, that's a great question again. So the first thing that drives the cost of solar is how much energy do you use? For example, yes, you may be living in a 2,000 or 3,000 square foot home. First of all, it depends where that home is. So I'll take an example, contrasting example. Let's say you were in LA or in Massachusetts or in Boston, right? So the energy consumption of a home in Boston might be very different than the energy consumption in LA, partly because we have very short summers and we don't need that much air conditioning. So typically electricity bills in Massachusetts tend to be much smaller. That house may have $100 a month electric bill versus a $200 to $300 bill in LA. So that's number one. So let's pick LA for now. So that customer may need a larger energy system, but because LA is also more sunnier, their energy system will produce more. So as I mentioned, we have a calculator on our website. That is one of the best ways. Very quickly, within a minute or so, you enter your address, you tell us roughly what your electric bill is. We can spit out very quickly what the economics is going to look like, how much solar will cost you, and how much money you will save. And this is no obligation. You don't have to sign up or give us your email or anything like that. So that is one of the best ways of doing this. Typically, what we are seeing is, for most customers, solar energy systems cost anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000, depending on the size of the house, size of your electricity bill. So I know very broad range, but it's very hard to say what the whole cost might be.
And weather is variable, location is variable, and those are things that people need to understand. And your site does a great job of simplifying that for them. The next thing I want to ask you about is, where do you see solar technology going in the next few years? For instance, will I get an affordable shingle-oriented approach or design for my roof?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost where we are seeing the most development happening is, just like semiconductors, the manufacturing of solar panels is becoming cheaper and better. So every year, we are finding that the solar panels are costing less to produce, and these panels are becoming more efficient. So call it the bang for the buck is getting better. So your customers may say, your listeners may say, hey, so then shouldn't I wait for a few years to install solar? That is, of course, an option, but guess what? As I mentioned, the incentives are going away. So the incentives are designed to make sure that as the prices of solar are falling, the incentives are also declining. And generally, they're declining at a faster pace than the decline in the cost of solar panels. So it always pays to actually install solar energy systems today versus wait for the future. So that's one. On your specific question about solar shingles have been on the wish list of a lot of folks, both in the industry and the consumers. But what we have found, the industry is still finding it very challenging to build a cost-effective, well-performing solar shingle product. Tesla has been trying, but has not been that successful so far. It's very expensive. It can be 2 to 3 times more expensive than traditional solar panels, and it traditionally produces much less electricity.
And Elon Musk just can't pay attention to one project at a time, so it's not getting done.
That's true too. Yeah, so I think what we recommend is for folks, I think it is like thinking, the way I think about this is, I like Ferraris. They look really good. They give 5 miles to a gallon. But I think for me, the sensible option is to buy a very nice Honda Accord.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And I had been thinking about the auto analogy earlier when we were talking about the variability in the cost. Certainly the $10,000 and the $25,000 system can be very different in terms of the amount of storage you have, for instance. In terms of traditional panels, do you see any major innovation coming in the next few years, such as the ability to put them on more roofs or to put them on more types of roofs, as well as to be able to capture more solar energy at an angle?
Absolutely. I think so. The biggest difference, as I mentioned, is they are becoming cheaper. So when I started in this industry a bunch of years ago, they only recommended putting solar panels on the south-facing roof because that was the most cost-effective location to install a solar panel. But as solar panel prices have declined, it makes a lot of sense to now put solar on east and west-facing side of your roofs. Because the cost is so low that even though you get maybe a few points lower production out of those panels, it is cost justified. And I think you're going to start seeing that people will start installing solar on even north-facing roofs in the future as the cost keeps coming down. The other thing is they're becoming more efficient. As I mentioned a few years ago and now, typical panels are now generating about 20 to 30% more power than they used to in the past. We are seeing much better quality panels being made. There is something called bifacial solar panels. These are panels that can absorb light from both directions, both in the front and the back. They can be even another 10 to 15% more productive than traditional solar panels. So there's a lot of innovation that is going on in the silicon-based solar panels to fit more cells in the same space, get more electricity out of the same surface area. And these panels can now last 30, 40 plus years. They are very, very durable, very well made.
And this is not like buying a phone that is going to be obsolete in 2 years. Those solar panels will continue to produce this. And that's something I think a lot of consumers think about is it's similar to buying a PC. I'm going to have to replace it, but this is not a replacement purchase.
No, this is not. These solar panel systems are designed to run for 20, 30 plus years. Their warranties are now 25 years. And panels, there are examples of panels that were installed back in the 60s and 70s, 1960s and 1970s, that are still producing power. It's amazing.
Right.
These are very, very durable.
Well, Vikram, this has been a really informative conversation, and I'm looking forward to continuing to offer access to EnergySage on Earth911 and encourage people to get in there and start learning about their options. Thanks very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, folks, that was Vikram Aggarwal, who is the founder and CEO of EnergySage. And EnergySage.com is the location you should go and check out right now before you even hang up this podcast. This is Mitch Ratcliffe, Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear podcast. We'll be back with another innovator interview next week. Thanks all for listening. Take care.